welcome to the Narrowing Path, Walking the Spiritual Walk. My name is Steve Van Einstein. Thanks for coming back and joining me on February 8th for the daily reading from James Allen's Daily Book of Meditations. Really been fantastic this February. As I always say, I'm just raving about this book and these meditations he's given us here. They're just inspiring. They're great things to contemplate, and so I'm really grateful to be able to be doing this this year. I do want to say I have created a Facebook page for anybody that listens. You can go ahead and find the Facebook page, The Narrowing Path, Walking the Spiritual Walk. You can go ahead and like and follow that page. I'll be sharing the new episodes as they come up on that page, and any announcements or bits of information or quotes that I find relevant. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes, and it's a place where you can start some discussions and things too about what the reading was about that day, and then we can have some conversations if you'd like. So really appreciate everybody that's been jumping on. So thanks for joining me on this journey. So we'll go ahead and we'll get started on February 8th. Again, this is always fresh to you and fresh to me. That means I haven't read it prior to reading it right here while recording. And that means you get my genuine responses, reactions, observations, and what I relate to about the reading. And we will go from there. So here we go, February 8th. Self-seeking is self-destruction. If you would realize true prosperity, do not settle down, as many have done, into the belief that if you do right, everything will go wrong. Do not allow the word competition to shake your faith in the supremacy of righteousness. I care not what man say about the laws of competition, for do I not know the unchangeable law, which shall one day put them all to rout, and which puts them to rout even now in the heart and life of the righteous man. And, knowing this law, I can contemplate all dishonesty with undisturbed repose, for I know where certain destruction awaits it. Those who have wandered from the highway of righteousness guard themselves against competition. Those who always pursue the right need not to trouble about such defense. Under all circumstances, do that which you believe to be right, and trust the law. Trust the divine power, and you will always be protected. This had me hooked right from the first line it opened with. Self-seeking is self-destruction. I could talk about those 1, 2, 3 words. They're hyphenated. I could talk about that for hours. I have talked about that for hours. And how that manifested in my life. And how self-seeking of so many types created a life and circumstances that just destroyed me. You know, my desire to feel comfortable, my desire to feel relief, my desire to feel safe and secure from external sources, my constant reaching outside of myself to get these things, to get these validations, to get these reassurances, and to get this what I thought was happiness and satisfaction out of life. I thought all of that was outside of me, and that's what that self-seeking shows up as. And I started taking these actions early on in my life to try to manipulate people. Though I didn't know it was manipulation at the time, I really thought everybody acted like that. I had trust issues, not because, I had been stepped on a bunch in my life, but the reality of it is I had trust issues because I wasn't trustworthy. I didn't do anything with a genuine intention. with genuine good in my life. It was always self-seeking and self-serving. Every action I took, every idea I had, every word I spoke, really, it was all to be self-serving. I couldn't be honest about it either. I didn't know. It took me a while to realize that my way of thinking was so skewed. And then the self-destructive behaviors can really manifested for me, like so many, in drugs and alcohol and other escapes, which it could be attention or relationships, and it could be as seemingly innocent. I think we know a lot more about this, but seemingly innocent as video games too. I loved video games. Why? Because I wasn't here. I was lost inside a game. I was wrapped up in what my KD ratio was, kill-death ratio. I was wrapped up in what my character had progressed like in Elder Scrolls Skyrim. I would become obsessed with things just to escape myself. So self-seeking was the name of the game for me for my first 29 years of life. And it led just to more and more and more pain and self-destruction. I literally fed everything in my life to my own self-seeking. It took me a while to realize that. I had created my own self-destruction. That was a hard pill to swallow. So let's go on. If you would realize true prosperity, do not settle down, as many have done, into the belief that if you do right, everything will go wrong. That's a hard thing to believe because you feel like you've got to get your hands in things, right? And you feel like you've got to manipulate, you've got to control, you've got to ensure an outcome that you want. And what I've found is when I do that, usually it fails, or if it does end up succeeding in some semblance of the way I wanted it to, it's never good enough. And I've hurt a bunch of people along the way. I've stepped on the toes of other people. I've really imposed my will where it shouldn't have been imposed. So when it says belief that if you do the right thing, everything will go wrong, I really thought that about everything in life. Do not allow the word competition to shake your faith in the supremacy of righteousness. I care not what men say about the laws of competition, for do I not know the unchangeable law that which shall one day put them all to rout, and which puts them to rout even now in the heart and life of the righteous man. He's saying, when you enter into a situation where there's competition, my immediate mind goes to competition in business and practicing the spiritual principles in your business, even though you have a fear that you might not get what you want. Practicing living and spiritual life and practicing the spiritual values will pay off in the long run. It might pay off in the immediate run too, The short game still might work out in a way we don't know or a way we don't trust. But a lot of the time, when we sit there and say, I need this, so I'm going to, walk that line a little bit towards the manipulation side or towards this or towards that, just to make sure I get what I believe I need. We usually rob ourselves of opportunities further on down the road. So if we practice these principles in all areas of our life, when there's competition even arising, cheating at games, it could be sports, it could be board games, it could be the game of life, it could be a lot of things. Being manipulative in a relationship, falsely presenting in a relationship to be better than the competition, right? Falsely presenting as a person when you're going out on a date. There's so many things. And even if others practice these principles or even if others practice the deceitful ways or the disingenuous ways, the ways that go against the law of the Spirit and the law of righteousness, as he's alluding to here, they will be routed out. Their self-seeking will lead to their self-destruction eventually. And knowing this law, I can contemplate all dishonesty with undisturbed repose, for I know where certain destruction awaits it. Again, that was just what I was talking about. Practicing that honesty in all your affairs, in all ways, in all areas. Knowing that the lies and the white lies and the little cover-ups here and the little misdirections over here and the lies of omission there, they will all come back to haunt you. Even if they don't necessarily physically manifest immediately as with repercussions, you will suffer for it. You'll get worry, you'll get fear, you'll get doubt, suspicion, paranoia, that they're going to find out. That things aren't going to be discovered. Those who have wandered from the highway of righteousness guard themselves against competition. Those who always pursue the right need not trouble about such defense. If you're doing the right things, competition doesn't matter. It's almost encouraged. It's the iron against iron. In some instances, at least. In some areas of life. But those who shy away from the competition and they just build defenses to protect themselves, he's saying here, those are the people that have wandered away from the highway of righteousness. They've started having to hide. They've started to have to feel like they need to control, and they need to, at the very least, put a death grip on what they have and protect it at all costs, because they don't have that faith. They're not practicing that, and the hope and trusting what's going on, and just continuing to practice these principles. So, and it closes with, under all circumstances, do that which you believe to be right and trust the law. Trust the divine power, and you will always be protected. This is important stuff here, because doing what you believe to be right can get really there's some wiggle room there if you haven't done work. If you haven't taken a look at yourself and your motivations a lot of times, and you haven't looked at how you're dishonest and how you manipulate and what drives you and what motivates you, even to an unhealthy extent, if you haven't taken a look at those things, when you're making these decisions, you can, I'll speak from my own experience, I can convince myself this is the right thing to do when it's really self-seeking and self-serving. And sometimes I wonder if I don't recognize it or if I just have willfully turned a blind eye to it. More and more, I think I know what I'm actually doing, but it's easy to ignore because I've practiced that for so long. So the effort of practicing the awareness to change our behaviors is so crucial. So, under all circumstances, do that which you believe to be right. And believed to be right is following spiritual principles. Is it honest? Completely honest. Is it loving, forgiving? Does it bring joy? Is it of service? Are you practicing discipline? Hope, faith, courage, maintaining your integrity. These are questions you have to ask yourself about the decisions that you're making. And try to hold off on the impulsive decisions, because that's where I know I screw up the most. So, all right, well, I've ran over to 14 minutes. Thank you for everyone that's joined me today and has started jumping on listening to the podcast. I really appreciate the support and everybody's feedback and input. It's really been a great experience for me so far. So I look forward to keep pushing these out and getting and hearing what you guys have to say. So again, go over, jump on, like the Facebook page for the podcast, The Narrowing Way, Walking the Spiritual Walk, and you'll get regular updates about everything that's going on with it too. So I appreciate it, and I'll be back tomorrow for February 9th. Until next time, thanks.